Hello, my name is Lewis and welcome to Gathering the Magic. Today we're looking at Meme Master Steve's brand new super fun and janky Codie Vociferous Codex deck. Codie is a 1/4 legendary artifact creature that says you can't cast permanent spells. You can pay 4 mana and tap Codie to add Wooburg, and when you cast your next spell this turn, you exile cards from top of your library until you find an instant or sorcery with lesser mana value. You can then cast that for free and put the rest of the cards at the bottom of your library. This deck is going to be super janky with some big boy creatures and some alternative win cons. Let's delve straight into the deck tech. We're going to kick things off where all deck tech should, and that is the ramp. First off, we're starting with all the commander staples, and here we have Farseek and Cultivate. Then moving on to the rampy staples, we also have Kadama's Reach and Rampant Growth. You love to see it.
Stop saying that!
Next up, we've got Hour of Promise that allows you to search for 2 land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped. These rampy cards are huge, as for part of our win con, we want to be getting any land, not just a basic land, but we'll get onto that later. We also have Circuitous Route that lets us search for either 2 basic or gate cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Yep, we want those gates, and as we just said, we'll show you why later in the video. Next, fresh from Strixhaven, we have Emergent Sequence that allows you to search for a basic land that when enters the field becomes a blue-green fractal elemental creature. We also have Reap and Sow because Meme Master Steve is a filthy villain who loves to destroy lands. Again, this card also lets you search for any land, which is a big Brucey bonus. Next we have Reshape the Earth, the big mana spell that lets you search your library for up to 10 land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Again, any land. You can start to see the pattern here. We also have Search for Tomorrow, another classic staple that you can also suspend if you fancy it. Coming on to the last of the ramp, we have Crop Rotation that makes you sack a land but then lets you get out any land of your choosing, and again, Commander classic staple in Arcane Signet. And last, but of course not least, the biggest Commander staple you'll ever see, Sol Ring. Before we get on to the next section, make sure to smash that like button and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. It's completely free to do so, it helps us out massively, it's a win-win for everyone. For the next section, we're looking at Creature Cheaters. With Codie at the helm, it stops you from casting permanents, so you bet we've only got a few creatures in this deck, but we've got a few great ways to cheat them out. First up we have Mass Polymorph that says exile all creatures you control, which as you'll see later will most likely be 1/1 token fodder. Then you reveal cards from the top of your library until you get that many creatures and you put them all onto the battlefield. Then we also have Polymorph, which is exactly the same but just happening on the 1 creature. In this deck we also have Reality Scramble that says put a permanent you own on the bottom of your library. You then reveal cards until you find a card that shares a card type with it and put it straight onto the field. This card is especially badass as it has that retrace mechanic. We also have Transmogrify, which again is essentially Polymorph, but in red. Lastly, we have Synthetic Destiny, the wordiest of boys, that again is like Mass Polymorph, where you exile all of your creatures and then put that many creatures from your library onto the battlefield. So we've seen the ways to cheat these creatures onto the field. Shall we meet the Hateful Eight? The first of this 8 creature deck are the Strixhaven Dragons. Belladros is a 4/4 with flying that creates pests on each upkeep that when they die give you life, and you can also pay 10 life to untap all lands, which in this deck is huge. We also have Velomachus Lawhold, who is a 5/5 flying vigilant hasty boy that when he attacks allows you to look at the top 7 cards of your library and play an instant or sorcery without paying their mana cost. That is huge. Next we're going ETB crazy with Diluvian Primordial, a flyer that when it ETBs you can cast an instant or sorcery from each player's graveyard without paying its mana cost, and Omnath Locus of Rage, the big beefy elemental that creates a 5/5 elemental anytime a land hits your side of the field. We also have Coma Cosmos Serpent because Meme Master Steve is filthy and wants to create an army of coils on each person's upkeep, and we have Sire of Stagnation because we're playing so many lands in this deck that we may as well take advantage of when our opponents are playing a land and make them exile 2 cards and give ourselves some card draw. Lastly, for our creatures we have Worldspine Worm, that famous 15/15 boy with trample, and Blightsteel Colossus, the indestructible Infecty Giant, because have I already mentioned Steve is filthy? Both of these big boys have that text that says if it's ever sent to a graveyard, shuffle it into your library instead, which is terrifying. So just having 8 creatures in this deck is key, because when you're using those cards to cheat out creatures, you're guaranteed it's going to be something that will flip the game completely on its head. Next up, we're looking at those creature creators. We want those fodder cards to sack so we can cheat out the big boys, and we want some sacrificial blocking fodder too early off in the game. So first here, we have Dragon Fodder and Forbidden Friendship to create some 1/1 goblins, dinos and humans. Next we have Krenko's Command to create even more goblins, and Lingering Soul to create some white flying spirits that also have flashback so you can create even more of them. For the last few we have Artifact Mutation to double up as some artifact removal, but also create hopefully a load of 1/1 Saprolings. Tasty. Lastly we have the big dog from Ikoria, Shark Typhoon. In this deck that is nearly half combined of instants and sorceries, we're going to be getting so many triggers from this and creating so many flying sharks. We just need to make sure we get this enchantment out before Codie hits the battlefield, as an enchantment is of course a permanent. Next up we'll look at the extra turns and tutors that me and Master Steve has put in this deck, and first we have Alrund's Epiphany that not only gives you an extra turn but gives you some flying fodder, and Time Warp to give target player an extra turn. And if the target isn't yourself, then I'm worried for you. For the last extra turn we have Walk the Aeons that you can also buy back, which is just mental. And for our first tutor, we have another commander staple in Diabolic Tutor to search for just any card you want. And for the last 2 tutors we have Mastermind's Acquisition to again search for any card and solve the equation to search for an instant or sorcery, which will again leave you with plenty of options. But I'm sure you'll be getting out those cheating creature sorceries to your hand as soon as possible. Now we're looking at all the board wipes and removal crammed into Codie, and there is quite a few. First up we have June Blast, which allows you to save 1 creature then destroy the rest, and we have Merciless Eviction that gives you the choice of removing all artifacts, creatures, enchantments or planeswalkers. We also have Time Wipe that lets you return a creature from the field to your hand and then destroy the rest, and Urza's Ruinous Blast that destroys all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. That is brutal. For some single target removal we have Swords to Plowshares, another white staple, and Chaos Warp to put a permanent back into someone's library. Lastly we have Beast Within. Destroy a permanent and then give someone a 3/3 green beast for some nice little compensation. Before we look at all the card draw, we're looking at the best of the rest, as there's one card I'm saving until right at the end. First here we have Mizzix's Mastery that you can hopefully overload and replay every instant and sorcery lying in your graveyard, and commit to memory to put target spell or non-permanent into its owner's library second from the top, and then get each player to shuffle their library into their graveyard. Next we have Desertion to counter target spell, and if it's a creature or artifact spell that's countered, you get to put that on the battlefield under your control instead, which is insane. We also have Kaya's Guile to give you options aplenty, from creature removal to token creation to even life gain, whatever you need. Next we have Dramatic Reversal to untap all of your non-land permanents, and Manifold Key to untap target artifact. Now it's key to have some untap options in this deck, as we want to use Codie's ability more than once if we have the chance. So for this we also have Voltaic Key for that untap option, and Swiftfoot Boots to protect Codie, because as Steve said, you will all constantly try and kill Codie. You are not wrong there, my friend. In the last section before we get to the lands, we have the card draw. First we have Ancestral Vision to draw 3 cards and Explore to not only draw a card but also play an extra land a turn. We also have a few more spicy draw some cards and play some extra lands a turn options in Eureka Moment and Growth Spiral. And we also have a few Commander Blue staples in Brainstorm and Opt here. On to the last few, we have Treasure Cruise to draw 3 cards, and Urban Evolution to draw 3 cards and again play an extra land a turn. I love this deck. Lastly, for the card draw options we have Guild Summit. When it ETBs you can tap any number of untapped gates you control and draw a card for each tap gate, and whenever a gate ETBs you draw a card. Now let's move on to the land, and that spicy secondary wincon option. As you can see scrolling through the screen now are all of the dual coloured guild gates. Yes, we're adding in all 10 to this deck because we're going gate crazy, and I'm sure many of you already know where this wincon is going. We also have Plaza of Harmony and Gateway Plaza for more gate madness. And the key cog in this gate party is Maze's End. Maze's End has pay 3 and tap to return to your hand and search your library for a gate card and put it onto the battlefield. Then if you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. Considering we've got all those rampy cards in this deck to search out lands of any variety, this deck will get all those gates onto the field in no time and open you up to that win con as soon as you manage to get Maze's End onto the field. To finish off the deck tech, we're looking at all the other lovely lands. First here with Ash Barrens and Evolving Wilds. For the basic lands, we've got 2 plains, 2 swamp and 2 mountains. And we have 4 islands and 4 swamp as the deck runs about 25% of those Simic colours. We've also got more classics in Command Tower and Exotic Orchard. We also have Terramorphic Expanse to get out some basic mana and Reliquary Tower to give us that unlimited hand size. We have Scavenger Grounds to act as that 4-way Paducah Bog and Mystic Sanctuary to hopefully give you a chance at getting another chance at playing an instant or sorcery. And for the last land we have Field of the Dead to hopefully start creating you a load of 2/2 zombie tokens, and because if I haven't mentioned it already, Meme Master Steve is a filthy, filthy boy. There we have it, that is the deck tech. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for all things MTG. Check out our link tree in the description below for all our social media and affiliate links. For now though, I'm all tapped out, so I'll see you in the next video.